Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Things I've learned through history. Now, this is a theme that I can go on forever. Things I've learned driving the freeways of Los Angeles. Things I've learned in New York. And I tend to use this often. But history, funny thing is, school, they tell you dates and subject, but they don't go into the details of whatever happened in that time of history. Now, that's something you have to do on your own because schools won't do that. And I'm very inquisitive when it comes to stuff like that. I look for the detail. What happened? And in doing so, I learned stuff. So in this case, I'm going to talk about the Civil War. The Civil War started with the attack on Fort Sumter, April 12, 1861. Now, in school, that's all you learn. This is when it started. What they don't tell you is there was 3 months of time between Fort Sumter and the first major ground attack, or battle, if you will. And that happened in a place called Manassas Junction. Now, the Union called it Manassas Junction. The Confederacy called it the Battle of Bull Run. Bull Run was like a little river or a creek, a little moving body of water, if you will. Now, the Union thought this was going to be the first and last battle of the Confederacy. You see, they saw their enemy as being nothing more than illiterate, barefoot farmers who were ill-equipped and ill-trained, and they were about to go through a very transformative moment when they realized that was not the case. So much so, the citizenry thought that they were ill-equipped, and they went, the citizens of Washington, D.C., went to go watch this battle. If you can imagine, they became spectators of this battle. Some of them even took food to watch this battle. Some of them were congressmen and senators, which should be no surprise. So they're watching this battle, confident that they were going to win, and this was going to be the end of the Civil War. We know now that war had lasted several years, and about 750,000 Americans died in that Civil War, more than World War I and World War II combined, because everyone that died was American. So imagine, if you will, all these people watching this battle that had nothing to do with that battle. And at about 5 o'clock in the morning, one of the two sides started firing artillery, and it started that battle. I'm not going to go through all the details of the battle. I'll be here all day. But at about late afternoon, the Union began to lose ground, and they began to withdraw. That withdraw became a retreat. That retreat became a rout. So the single road that goes to Washington, D.C. from Manassas Junction became clogged with retreating soldiers and the wounded and the idiots that went out there to watch this battle left. Now, had the Confederacy was not sufficiently organized, had they been and went into Washington, we would be talking about a whole different story. But what I learned several things. Don't underestimate your enemy or your competition or your coworker or your neighbor, because that person may be better than you think. On the flip side of the coin, don't overestimate yourself. You go to YouTube, there's tons of videos out there where some big bully thought because he was bigger, he was better, and some small guy just cleaned his clock. You see that all the time. Don't overestimate yourself, your own abilities, because there's always somebody who's bigger out there than you are. The size of your opponent doesn't matter. It's the strength and the will of purpose. If you believe in what you're doing, fight for it. Don't be afraid. Fourth thing, every plan, you need a contingency. Now, a retreat is not a contingency. That's a reaction to a failure. Make sure every project you work on has a contingency. If I work on projects all the time, I call it a backup plan. Have a plan where you don't give up ground, but you end up in the same place you were when you started, so you can go back and reconvene later. So my main thing here is do not underestimate yourself or your opponent. Give it all you got.